Hey, this is Mark.
And this is Kendrick.
And this is Movies in Black and White.
Oh my god, this movie was so tense. I swear to God, my nerves were shot by the end of this movie. Like, it was exhausting how tense this movie was, Mark.
I mean, the palpable threat that he, conveyed in this movie.
Yeah.
Was there from the first moment you watch this movie.
Yeah.
The first time you're on screen. The score that was done in this movie.
Oh, that was tense. The music really sold the tense, and like the way it was framed and everything. Like, they really put the invisible man, because you knew he was there. Like, you could feel the tension in the room. He was there. He was somewhere there, but you didn't know where.
Yeah.
So we're talking about Invisible Man today.
Exactly.
And I went and saw this by myself. I told my wife, I was like, you're not going to see this with me. I know you won't be able to handle it because of the fact that when she went and saw Split with me, she had that moment in the movie theater where, like, you remember Split where he goes and kidnaps those girls in the car, and she's totally trying to go for the door handle.
Yeah.
My wife couldn't take the pressure. She yelled at the top of her lungs, and I don't think she realized she was yelling, but she's like, just go! Yeah. So once I saw the previews for this and everything, and I started seeing the reviews, I'm like, I'm not taking you to this because I know this movie's going to be tense. And if you yell out in the middle of this movie, I swear to God, you'll never go to a movie with me again.
Oh,
so after watching that, I told her I got in the car, and she goes, was it good? I'm like, it was really good, but you're going to watch it when it comes out on Blu-ray at home because you will not handle this movie well in theaters.
Oh, it was serious.
She goes, is that bad? I'm like, you remember that scene in Split that you freaked out on? She goes, yeah. I was like, the whole movie was like that, except 3 times worse.
I think it would be 10 times worse for women.
Oh, yeah.
Not because they can't handle stuff, but because it touches all sorts of triggers.
It really does.
I mean, it is.
It's a deep movie.
Deep movie about stalking, about manipulation, about domestic violence, about all kinds of things. It is a very big trigger.
Oh, yeah. And that's for, I know a lot of women that have been, sexually assaulted, verbally beaten up, physically beaten up and all that stuff. I couldn't imagine. Like, it really shed some light on how these women have this PTSD, and they constantly have that in the back of their mind. Like, even though, the way the movie goes is she leaves this man, her husband, because he's so manipulative. Like, at one point she describes it as he was dictating the way I ate, the way I talked, the way I dressed, and she goes, even times the way I thought. Right. Like, he was in her head 100%. Well, she ended up leaving him, and like that part, just from the beginning 10 minutes where she's escaping that house, it set the scene for how tense this movie was going to be.
And this is a billionaire
tech genius. Yes, he's what was it? He was the leader,
world leader in
optics.
Yeah,
it was really the modern day version of the story. It's nothing that you hadn't really seen before when it comes to Invisible Man.
Correct.
Except it's more modern, and it's a more in-depth psychological take than I think I've seen before in this type of movie for this character.
Right, I think so.
And it really works for modern artists. It's like they really modernized it and took it down a route that you wouldn't have expected for this character. Like, usually for the Invisible Man, he's creates a serum that turns him invisible, and then he gets this god complex because he's invisible. He can get away with whatever he wants, and that's when he starts doing the bad stuff. This guy is just a dickhead. Yeah, he's just an asshole who loves manipulating people and loves controlling everything he can control. Fakes a suicide, or he commits suicide, and she knows, she has this feeling that this isn't real, like something's wrong here. And then that's when he starts to, for lack of a better term, haunt her. Like, he starts to really fucking haunt her. And there was some scenes in here where it was like, oh my God, like I was sitting there thinking, what would I do in this situation? And there's one scene in particular I'm thinking about where he pulls the blankets off them. She's sleeping in the bed with her friend's daughter because she had nowhere else to go. Like, she was hiding in this one place she felt safe. And they were laying in bed, and he rips the covers off of them slowly and starts taking pictures of them while they're sleeping just to fuck with her. She goes and picks up the blankets off the floor, and all of a sudden she can't pull the sheet more because he's standing on it. She sees the footprints there, and she's like, you see her gears ticking in her head trying to digest what she's seeing.
Right.
And I was like, what the fuck would I do in that situation? And like, the man part of me was like, I'd throw that sheet over him and I'd start whooping the shit out of him. Yeah. But then I was like, But seriously, like, that's something you had never thought you'd see in real life or in reality. And, like, what would you do?
And you've been through this trauma.
Yeah.
And you're sitting there going, okay, you know this person is still
here
messing with you and everything like that. It's like, oh my gosh.
She knew it too. Like, there was so much in this movie where you're just like, what the fuck? What? Oh God, no. Like, you knew, the tension was there and you're like, okay, it's about to hit. It's about to hit. And then it would just go a second longer. You're like, oh, maybe not. Nope, there it is.
There it is, yeah.
Like, one movie that did that really well was The Meg. The Meg did it really well because it kept going. Like, you thought, okay, this is the jump scare. This is when it happens. And then it didn't. And then it's like, okay, here it comes. I know it's coming now. Nope, that's not it either. Okay, here it comes. Nope, there it is. Like, when we least expecting. This one, it did that, but not to the extent that The Meg did. But the tension was unfucking real.
It was completely tense for the whole movie. And Elizabeth Moss sold it completely throughout this movie. She was just frazzled from beginning to end. I mean, it was not... Only when the end actually came did she actually look peaceful and normal.
Yeah, well, yeah, at the very, very end after everything went down. And she was... I've never heard of her. I don't remember seeing her in anything.
The Handmaid's Tale.
I don't watch The Handmaid's Tale.
Handmaid's Tale.
Don't watch it. My wife's watched it.
I haven't watched it either. She was in Girl Interrupted. A couple other movies out there, too.
She's been in... This is her latest. She was in Us. Oh, okay. I saw her in Us. Mm-hmm. She was in The Old Man and the Gun, Light of My Life, Chuck, The Free World, Meadowland, Queen of... Nothing really, like, hugely popular that I'm seeing.
Except for The Handmaid's Tale.
Ooh, yeah, The Handmaid's Tale.
Emmys for it and stuff like that.
Yeah. But no major release movies. These were all movies.
Right.
Yeah, she's in The Handmaid's Tale. She's done an episode of The Simpsons. Well, who hasn't at this point? She was in Mad Men.
Yes.
So
that was also
she's a huge TV actress, but for somebody that doesn't watch a lot of TV, she was new to me.
Right.
Even though she was in a lot of movies, it's probably a lot of movies I wouldn't have seen. Yeah, nothing I would really have seen, but she killed it in this movie. Like, she absolutely killed it. She was... Everything was palpable. Like, this movie wouldn't have worked if you wouldn't have bought her tension, her scaredness, like, all of it. They would just... You couldn't have bought it unless she sold it. And she sold that there was somebody in the room with her she couldn't see.
Exactly. There was somebody after her all the time.
And, like, there was one scene in particular where she has a sit down with her sister, and her eyes are all puffy, and she's just looked so frazzled and stuff like that. I was like, damn, this girl has been through the fucking ringer. Like, this is holy shit. Like, she has been through it. So the husband commits suicide to start haunting her, and he leaves her $5 million. Right. And everything that happens after that point was methodically planned out. He knew what he was doing. He manipulated every situation to put her in the right position he wanted her, just to fuck with her even more. Up until a point where he's like, okay, I've done what I wanted to do to you. This is your option. Either you can stay here in this jail cell, and we'll get to why she was in a jail cell in a little bit, or you can come back to me, and we can have our family, and we can live our lives. He gave her literally... no option.
Yeah, no option. Either come with me or stay in this jail cell.
Yeah, pretty much. And it wasn't like a jail cell. It was a mental hospital jail cell. Because he made her look fucking insane. I mean, somebody's coming screaming, oh, he's here. When they showed pictures of the dead body, he was in an urn, like his ashes were... the whole thing...
And nobody can see him.
Nobody can see him. And then when people started to see him, when he started showing him a little bit, it was like... Oh, fuck. And that's when shit really started to hit the fan. But it was balls to the wall nonstop. And at one point I was just like, please, can you please end? I can't take much more of this. Like, this is just so tense. Like, oh my God. It was a wild ride. So, a couple spoilers happen. She's living with her friend, and... You know, there was a couple shocking scenes where, like, holy shit, he just did that.
Hell yeah.
And he is so invisible and so quiet, you never know he was there. Well, the one big first shock part, besides the sheet thing where he really started to make his presence known and really started to mess with her, is she was on the floor crying because he sent an email to her sister saying she never wanted to see her again. She wished she was dead instead of her ex and all that stuff. Well, she was on the floor crying, and that girl, who was probably about 16, 17 years old.
Oh, yeah, comes in to comfort her.
Yeah, comfort her and saying, hey, we'll kick Dad out for a girls' night. That sounds like fun. And she goes, yeah, let's do it. And all of a sudden, he just
punches her in the face.
Boom! Hard, too. It was a solid hit, and you hear it go, pooh! I was like, holy shit, I was not expecting that. And the girl gets up screaming, Dad, she hit me. I was like, she's all the way, like, even though it was so fast and stuff, you should have known better. Like, she was far enough away to know that you couldn't have been hit at that angle, that hard, that quickly. Like, maybe in her mind, it didn't correlate because
it was a shock.
It was such a shock. She just got punched in the face. Yeah. And if somebody's been punched in the face from behind before, you're just like, what the fuck just happened? Oh, she got decked hard, and she hit the ground. And at that point, that's when it started.
Escalate big.
That's when the dominoes started falling hard.
Because Dad is not having that.
No, and there was so many tense scenes, like the scene where she starts kind of like suspecting he's around, and she goes out into the outside, and you can see her breath, and then all of a sudden you see his breath. I was like, oh. And man, that's when it really starts to escalate. So they leave. He's getting her somewhere safe because he thought she hit her because she's having these mental breakdowns, quote unquote, because he's really fucking with her, but nobody believes her.
Right.
And she calls his cell phone, her ex's cell phone, just to see if he'll answer or see, like, okay, I know he's alive. Let me call his cell phone to see.
And here's the vibration.
And she hears the vibration up in the crawl space.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
And she goes up and she investigates, and she finds a knife that he had taken off the counter earlier. And you saw that knife disappear right before he turned up the stove all the way and started a kitchen fire, which was crazy. I was like, oh God, like, please don't tell me this house is going to burn down. And they made light of the situation. The girls just thought they overcooked something.
Right.
But she finds the knife that he had in a plastic baggie. She finds his cell phone and those pictures that he took on her phone, or on his phone of them sleeping. And she's starting to like piece it together a little bit. Right. And then she starts to hear the noise. And she goes back to the crawl space and looks down at the ladder. And obviously there's nothing there. But something's there. Yeah. And she grabs this paint bucket and throws all the paint down real quick. And that's when you see his silhouette. And it was tangibly scary. Like, you're just like, holy crap, there he is. Like, I knew he was close, but not that close.
Exactly.
And though it looked weird when I noticed this right away, right when she threw the paint on him. It looked very golf ball texture.
Yeah, it had no, measurable features.
Yeah, it didn't look human. Yeah, like, it had a human shape body, but the texture was not human looking. Like, anytime you saw
nose, mouth,
anytime you saw anything in the Invisible Man, whenever they poured something on them or did something to him, you saw the nose, the mouth, the human features of the ears and stuff like that. Nothing was there. It was just a round humanoid shape with this golf ball texture. Well, the reason for that is she ends up escaping, going back to the house and looking into his lab that he had in the house. Well, this is the part where they modernized it and they didn't do a serum. They built him a suit. He built this suit with these cameras. Like, it was like millions of eyes all over the body. And everywhere the camera saw, the camera behind it was projecting that image all over the body to make him look invisible. It was really, really cool and well done how they did it. It made sense. And at that point, she's like, okay, I know how he did this. And she took that suit. It was his second suit. And she hit it. Mm-hmm. Well, then she had another knockout, drag-out fight with him in that house. I mean, she had a couple knockout. Really that first knockout, drag-out fight after she found him with the paint and everything, that was tense, where he was throwing her around the house and she was smashing glass on him. And you're thinking, okay, this guy's got to be on something, because she's whooping the shit out of him. Like, she's breaking glass plates over him.
But he's also got that suit.
Well, so you didn't know that at the time. Oh, okay. So you're like, man, how the fuck is he taking all these hits?
Did, because it was after the paint.
Yeah, but you didn't know that he was wearing the suit, though. You didn't know it was an actual suit until when she went to the house after that. Right when she dropped the paint on him, my eyes caught the texture.
Yeah,
that's what she didn't know. She just knew he was there at that point.
I saw it. I knew it was the suit at that point.
Well, that's what we figured, but she had no idea. So she's whooping the shit out of him. You're thinking, man, something's up with this guy, clearly, besides being invisible, because he is taking these hits like a champ. Mm-hmm. And then you see the suit later on, you're like, oh, that suit's really protecting him, because it looks rubberized with a lot of metal in it to protect the cameras.
Plus, it has to have some depth to it.
Yeah, it was thick. It was a thick suit. Yeah, it was. It was a really cool suit. Like, it was creepy in the sense that with all the cameras looking like eyeballs on it. Right. But it was so well done that it was really cool. Well, she ends up hiding the suit and calling her sister to come meet her. After they had that tense moment of not, she never wanted to see her again, all that other stuff because of that email. Well, her sister comes to meet her in an open place, in a restaurant where she thought she'd be safe. Yeah, you weren't safe there.
Oh my gosh, man. She's sitting there talking to her saying, hey, I know he's still alive, and I know this, I can prove it. I've seen this. Blah, blah, blah.
Well, she's saying, you need to believe me. Please, I need you to believe me. And her sister's giving her the time. She's like, okay, just start explaining it to me. And then her eyes got wide.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh, she's seeing some shit.
And she sees this knife beside her sister's head.
Just floating.
He slices her throat.
He slices his sister's throat,
completely.
And it was quick. Like, the part that blew my mind.
And he puts a knife in her hand.
Yeah, that was the part that blew my mind. How fast he slit her throat and then shoved that knife right in her hand. And she's just like, oh, shit.
And then everybody knows this, oh my God. And they start screaming. It's like, man.
And then that's the part where they put her in jail. In the psychiatric ward.
Yeah.
And he goes, and while she's getting drugged, when she's about to pass out, he leans in and whispers to her, surprise. Mm-hmm. And I was like, oh my God, this guy is fucking genius. Like, he's crazy, but he is a genius.
He's so crazy, he picks his spots.
Yeah.
I mean, he just knows it's incredibly patient because he's sitting there 90% of the time not doing a damn thing.
Yeah, I was like, where the fuck is he sleeping at and all this stuff?
Yeah.
And like, how is he getting out of these places? And you heard the door open that one time in the distance, and that's when he was coming in to fuck with her the first time when you saw his breath. But you're just like, man, how is he getting out of all these places? Where is he sleeping? How is he go? Like, you're like, how the hell? But that wasn't important. It's just semantics of the movie. But from there, his brother comes in, and you thought his brother was a sympathetic character up to that point. He goes, my brother used to torture me too.
Long before he met you.
Yeah, I dealt with it forever. And it was at that point where the brother's talking to her saying, you're not getting this money anymore because you have criminal charges against you now, this, that, and the other. And at that point where he said, okay, here's your out. And he showed that he was actually part of the whole scheme.
Right.
And you were like, oh, fuck, what a mindfuck. And then you found out she was pregnant as well. Mm-hmm. And he had wanted to knock her up, but she was secretly taking birth control. And this is the part where you realize the depth of this insanity of this guy was he had found out she was taking birth control. And he swapped her pills and knocked her up. Yeah. And she had no idea. And I was just like, oh my God, he is quite literally controlled every aspect of this.
Every single one.
And then that's the point where she hits the fuck it mode and she says, no, I'm not taking his deals. And the brother goes, okay, I'll give you 3 days to decide. Mm-hmm. And so she took a pen from his briefcase and took like a little piece of like gum or something that was stick on the table that they were talking at. Well, she hides the pen in her room. And you see the ward come in and try to check all her room, and he doesn't find anything, tells her goodnight, and she knows he's in there with her. So she goes to her shower, pulls the pen from the top of the ceiling where she had it hidden with the gum, and says, okay, you're not taking this baby, you're not getting any of this. And she stabs herself in her arm and starts to drag it down. I was like, oh, this bitch is going to kill herself. It's game over. And then you see her arm just stop, and he had grabbed her.
Yeah.
And she's like, there you are. And then she just proceeds to beat the shit out of the knife. And I mean, she just kept going at it. Like, she stabbed him a good 6-7 times. You're like, okay, she's going to get through that suit. She's going to hurt him. No, it just fucked up the suit. Like,
and this starts the part where you have to suspend your disbelief.
Well, this is the part where you had an issue. I didn't have an issue when I watched it because it happened so quick. But security guards start coming into play, and his suit's malfunctioning, flickering in and out. And you start to see the eyes moving. It was really creepy. Like, the way the suit was just appearing. Well, everybody starts seeing him off and on. Mm-hmm. But not enough to where they can get a good grasp on him. And he starts whooping the shit out of these security guards.
Right. Well, here's the thing. What is it? 8?
He took out a good 10 of them. Yeah.
9 security guards come flooding in. I mean, it's like 4 at a time in the first part.
Yeah.
And he takes them out. Okay?
Quickly,
then another one comes in. 2 more come around the corner. See those 2 or 4 taken out. Mm-hmm. And he takes them out. Okay, by this time, I would think, okay, the dude comes around the corner, you're like, what the hell's going on with this? You gotta do something. And his suit is malfunctioning. So it's flickering in and out, so you can
But it's only malfunctioning when they need it to malfunction. Like, it was a huge, it was for story purposes only. It was a good plot device.
Right. But I just couldn't imagine going, okay, everybody's gonna get taken out. Every single person. That's just
Yeah.
a
Well,
good
they
plan.
kept pointing their guns at her, like, stay on the ground. And
Yeah.
they, like, some of them, you could see the gear sticking in her head, like, there's no way she did all this. They start looking around,
It's
and then
too
he'd
damn
come out and
late.
just whoop the shit out of
Yeah.
him again. I mean, that one scene where he grabbed that guy's hand with the gun in it, pulled it down, put it against his kneecap,
Yeah.
and made him pull the trigger. And you
Yeah.
see the blood splatter against the wall, and his kneecap just give out. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
owie. Well, she ends up escaping and trying to
Right.
chase him down, and that's when you see him get in his car and drive away. So he
Well-
had a vehicle
Finally, though, there was a person left alive
that could
besides
corroborate her
that could
story.
corroborate
Yeah.
her story too.
Well, I mean, I don't think he killed every single one of those security guards. He knocked them unconscious. Like, he didn't.
Yeah.
He hit a lot of them hard. I think one
Yeah.
guy, he shoved his nose up because he
Yeah,
probably
exactly.
popped him right there. And I was just like, oh God! But I mean, he whooped the shit out of them. But I think a few were left alive, enough to corroborate her story.
Right.
But it doesn't matter at that point because this is where it starts to trail off a little bit.
Right.
Well, he tells her in the hospital room, you want to keep doing this, I'm really going to hurt you even more. I'm going after somebody you love, which was that little girl.
Right.
So that's
exactly.
right before that whole fight scene took place. And he goes, you see her chasing him down in the car and everything. And she calls the cop, the guy that she was staying with.
The
and
father
says,
of
you
the
need
girl.
to get home.
Yeah.
Something bad's going to happen to your daughter. And he's like, how are you getting a hold of me? And she goes, don't worry about it. Just, if you love your daughter, go home and protect her.
Mm-hmm.
So he goes to her house. Well, the little girl's home all alone. And he's already in that house.
Yeah.
And you hear, she kind of wakes up because she hears something. And she grabs her mace, which was a joke earlier in the movie.
Right.
It was just so funny. The dad goes, what are you going to do with that thing? Put that away. You bought it for me, Dad.
Yeah,
Well,
exactly.
it ends up helping her. So she grabs the mace and she sprays it and she hits the suit. And I guess it got into the suit. And
Right.
the guy got knocked against the wall. And she starts to escape, but he grabs her and he yanks her. And it was wild. Anytime he'd start yanking on people and whipping them around, they were quite literally just floating
there,
and floating
yeah.
around. And you're like, God damn, this dude's strong. Like, he is whooping the shit out of these people. Well, the dad comes home at that point. He's a big dude. Like, he's 6 foot, 6'2".
All this,
He's jacked.
What's his last name?
Let me look. I got the cast list right here. Let's see. The dad's name was... Let's see. So Elizabeth Moss played Cecilia, which was the main
Right.
character. Oliver Jackson Cohen played Annie Dream Griffin, which was the Invisible Man. Aldous Hodge was
yeah.
James Lanier, which is a childhood friend of Cecilia. Then there was
Right.
Storm Reed as Sydney, which is the little girl. And then Harriet Dyer is her sister. And Michael Dorman is Adrian's brother, Tom.
Mm-hmm.
Well, the dad comes home and sees his daughter getting choked out on the floor and starts trying to, like, fight. He believes at this point that there's an invisible man here. He's trying to fight. Well, he gets the shit kicked out of him, too.
Oh, yeah.
Like, to the point where I thought he was dead.
I
Like,
did, too.
because there was blood being splattered all over the wall from him getting hit so hard. And it was brutal. Well, at the last second, here comes Cecilia with a fire extinguisher, sprays it into the hallway, and it coats part of the suit. And she puts like 5 bullets in him.
Yeah.
And that's, you see the blood come out. All right, she's like, all right, she's got him. It's game over now.
Yeah.
Like, all right, that's the end of it. Well, they pull off the mask of the suit, and it wasn't Adrian. It was Tom.
It's the brother.
Yeah, the brother. And you're just like, what the? No fucking way. Like, there's no
He's
precedent
not
for
doing
It's
all
not
this
possible.
crap,
No, there's no way. He's not that smart. There's
no.
no way in hell. Well, you see the police raiding Adrian's house at that point, like a whole SWAT team. Well, they find Adrian tied up in the basement, and
Boarded
so
up,
he,
tied up.
at this point, you're like, wait, was he captive the whole time? Was this really Tom? You're like, no. And she doesn't believe it either because she's like, if he could commit suicide and still be alive and fake everybody out, he's faking this. Like, it was him. I know it was him. Well, at that point, the invisible suit's out of the picture.
Mm-hmm.
Like, he's just not there. Well, she's so upset because he's going to get away with all this.
Right.
Even though he killed her sister, he's getting away with all this. Well, she ends up calling him one night, and she goes and meets him at his house for a dinner, and, they're talking about the baby and everything. She goes, if we're going to get back together, you're going to have any part of this child's life,
yeah.
you need to be honest with me. Well, she's bugged because the cop's listening. James is listening, and she goes, you need to be honest with me. And he doesn't
budge.
puts himself to anything. He doesn't. He's like, I had nothing to do with this. I was a hostage the whole time. And he leans in, he's talking to her, and he goes, I know you better than you know yourself. I know that's a surprise. And it's like, oh, this cocky motherfucker. Like, you knew it. So she starts crying. She goes, may I go clean myself up? And he goes, yeah. And he's sitting there all smug and stuff. and then all of a sudden you see a knife he was holding get put up. He slits his own throat in front of the camera like he's committing suicide, and then it clicks in your head like she had hidden a suit earlier.
Yep.
The second suit she found, she just murdered this dude. And she comes back around the corner a few seconds later and makes a big old show in front of the camera, calls the cops. Yeah. James is running in, and at the point by the time James gets up to the house, she's walking out with her dog in a bag, and she looks totally normal, fine. And he goes, "What happened?" She goes, "He killed himself. It's on camera. He killed himself, right?" And James looks down at the bag. The bag's open. You see the suit inside the bag. And he goes, "Yep, sounds like suicide to me." Like he helped her out, and at the end, she goes and stands up when they open and just has a moment where she's completely calm, like she's finally free. Mm-hmm. And you're just like, God damn! Like there's still one suit open out in the open now, so it's like, are they gonna make a sequel, or are they gonna leave the story alone? Are they gonna make a spinoff? Well, they are making a spinoff. Elizabeth Banks is making The Invisible Woman, which I hope they don't use Elizabeth Moss for that. I hope she stays kind of like her own story. Like, do not make her a bad guy. She had her whole arc.
I would hope not.
I was honestly surprised when they said Elizabeth Moss is going to be directing a spinoff called Invisible Woman. When they told, the article I read said that she had her pick
Elizabeth Banks.
Yeah. Oh, who was I saying? Elizabeth Olsen.
Is it Banks?
Was I say Banks? Did I say Banks? What did I say?
Moss, I think.
Well, okay. Elizabeth Banks. Excuse me. Elizabeth Banks is getting her pick. She got her pick from any Universal monster movie she wanted to make. Oh, wow, and she chose the Invisible Woman spinoff. And I was like, why? There's no way you're going to top this movie. It's just not possible. I don't think so. Why not go with something different and do the Bride of Frankenstein or something? Why try to ride the coattails of this movie and make it more about a woman having her empowerment, being invisible and messing with men this way? It was like, that was perfect. Like, that woman had her redemption arc. She proved that crazy man wrong, that she was better than him, and all this.
Like
other
you
stuff.
said, the redemption arc was there. You had, you were perfectly vindicated at the end.
Yeah.
And free.
I don't think a spinoff is necessary, or I think Elizabeth Banks could have picked something different to go with, like the Bride of Frankenstein, not this one, because this movie works as a standalone.
We'll see how it works. Director, Lee Whannell, is now signed a first look contract with Blumhouse.
Yeah,
who did this, and actually, also famous for a lot of different horror movies.
Blumhouse is getting big nowadays. Didn't they do the
Get Out as well?
They did Get Out. I think they were part of Us. No, they did. Let's see here. Blumhouse signed a first look deal with Universal in 2014, so they have access to all their monsters.
Correct.
In 2015, they did Unfriended, Insidious Chapter 3, The Gift, and The Visit. That was like their turning point for me. Like the Gift and The Visit was crazy. Yeah. And Upgrade. I don't know if you ever seen Upgrade.
Was fantastic. That was another Lee Whannell.
Oh yeah. Was that him?
Yeah.
Same. Yeah. Oh shit.
Same guy. He was involved in Saw too. He was actually on screen in Saw. He was the guy opposite Cary Elwes in the.
That's
room.
him?
Yeah.
No shit.
Lee Whannell, yeah.
Wow. Well, Blumhouse also did Split, Get Out, Happy Death Day, Halloween. That was when I was really okay, they're really getting serious. Halloween the new one. Was amazing. And they did Glass, and they're really breaking into mainstream movies nowadays. So the fact that they have access to all these Universal monsters, and after the way they did this movie, I'd much rather watch those than the dark universe that Universal was pushing for with The Mummy.
I agree with that.
Because they modernized The Invisible Man. They made it tense as hell and scary. Like, there were certain points where I was like, I jumped. I was like, holy crap. And I'm sitting here by myself in the movie theater like, no reason to be scared, Kendrick. It's okay. He'll just sit next to you. It's all right.
It's terrible.
Whoa, shit. There's something. Like, it was crazy. But it was... I can't wait to see what they do with more monster movies. Like, I would love to see them do a modernized take on, like, Dracula or Frankenstein. Or even the ones that are more based in science.
Speaking of which, the Dracula Netflix series.
The BBC one that we watched?
Was excellent.
Oh, yeah.
That was excellent. And if they could do something in that vein with him today, that would be awesome, too.
Yeah.
I'd like to see something going on with that. But, yeah, I mean, if they can... Like you said, take those characters, modernize them, figure out a way that, okay, this is really what's happening. Because they did, like you said, an excellent job. The suit was believable.
Oh, yeah. It was absolutely...
With tech nowadays, it was really believable.
It was creepy, too.
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so Lee Whannell, his first directorial debut was Insidious Chapter 3.
Mm-hmm.
And then he did Upgrade, which Upgrade was
Yeah.
a great movie.
Oh, yeah.
It was brutal, but it was great.
Great.
And then The Invisible Man, man, I like his directing style. Like each one of his movies has gotten better and better.
I agree.
I hope he does something cool again. Like, I would love to see him do Frankenstein personally. Because
Right.
if he did that well with that suit, I can't imagine what he would do with Frankenstein.
Yeah, I believe you. I agree with that.
That's going to be wicked cool. I mean, hell, let him do his own Universal Monster universe, kind of like with this, because that suit's still out there. He could start his own little universe
Yeah,
with
he
this.
could.
But I feel like standalone stories would probably be better for these characters in these movies and
I
stuff
agree.
like that.
I agree, because, each one is such an icon that they would warrant that. They warrant that kind of attention.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, you don't want to sit back and mash up all the time Dracula Frankenstein. That's been done, of course, in the old 70s and black and white movies and stuff like that.
And this movie's doing well. It's critically.
Oh, yeah. It's
Accepted
29 million box office now?
No, it was a budget of $7 million. Right now, it's sitting at $49.2 million.
Oh, really?
Yeah, which is impressive because the global box office is taking a hit right now in general, just because of the coronavirus and everything.
Yeah, no doubt.
But it's gonna make its money. It's doing well, and I'm surprised this movie was made on a budget of $7 million.
Yeah.
Because the effects were great. Like when they were getting dragged around and stuff, you knew it really looked like somebody was there dragging them. But they did a really good job of making him truly invisible in that sense, and there wasn't that many effects. The suit looked amazing, like I said, but I could see how they had a budget of $7 million. I think about it. But it was
a lot of green screen work, stuff like that.
I don't think there was even that much green screen work. I mean, it was.
Well, you figured, the people getting dragged around.
Oh yeah, it was wires and stuff. I'm sure, unless they had somebody actually dragging him, and he was just in a green screen suit.
Mm-hmm. That's what I think they did.
I'd be curious how they did that. Actually,
Yeah.
I can't wait for the movie to come out and watch the special features
There
on
you
that,
go.
because that's cool. But yeah, it was a solid 2 hours. At first, like I'd say the first 30 minutes, they kind of drug by because it was building the tension, and you're just like sitting there like, okay, something needs to happen. I'm starting to like, just when's this shit gonna go down? And then it's really started to pick up the pace. The last hour and a half was just a roller coaster. And it's like, okay, I can see why the first 30 minutes were building the tension, because it was well worth it.
But I think, I know it was slow as far as action and things like that, but I think her portrayal of just being so frazzled throughout that whole part of that movie was just like, okay. Because, she was scared to go out to the mailbox.
Yeah.
She finally went out for a little bit. And it was like, saw the guy running down the street and ran back to the house.
Freaked her out and she ran back
So
in.
it was like, she carried a lot of that, which was really, really good on her part.
I'm glad they kept Oliver Jackson Cohen hidden away behind the suit most of the movie, because when they finally showed him in person and stuff, he had some buck teeth that were distracting the fuck out of me. I was just like, I don't find this guy scary anymore. Like, those buck teeth are just too huge, man. I don't know. I was just like, what the hell? But it was tense.
You're a billionaire, you can get those
fixed. Yeah, you get those fixed, man. Come on. You can go to chew a beaver dam up with those things. It was a good movie. I highly recommend seeing it in theaters. The music, the tension, the dark room, it completed the whole experience.
Yes, Simon Wallish did score for this.
No, it was Benjamin
Wallish.
Yeah, Benjamin Wallfish.
His brother's Simon.
What is
Simon Wallfish?
Does
And
he do
his
music
father's
too?
His father's I think Andre Wallish. They're all classically trained. As dad's a cellist, he's more of a pianist, and his brother's, I think, a violinist maybe.
So he's the son of Elizabeth Wallfish, an Austrian Baroque violinist. Raphael Wallfish, a British cellist.
There you go.
He is the eldest of 3 children, and his grandparents are pianist Peter Wallfish and cellist Anita Lasker.
So they had
Wallfish.
no choice.
Yeah, quite literally, there was no choice here. But he's, like you said, the music was. It helped build the tension. The music helped build the palpable scenes where you're just like, something is about to fucking hit the fan.
That's crazy.
It just further proves my point that music will make or break a movie or a scene.
Yeah.
And that soundtrack truly pushed forward that movie. Like, it really laid into the fact that there's tension, there's build up, there's execution, all of it. And it was, oh my God, I want to watch it again.
Yeah.
I really do.
Yeah.
Like, I was done afterwards. I was just like, all right, my nerves can take a break.
No,
And
yeah,
it's
you're
not very
right.
many
I mean,
movies
it
where I feel that
felt like
tense.
there was no slack in
No.
that rope. You're just constantly.
And
pulling
even
on
like
that thing.
the big horror icons don't even do that. Like the newest
No.
Halloween was an amazing movie, but to me it wasn't a horror movie. It was more of just a awesome adventure kind of like
Right.
movie. It was some scary. It was a slasher movie, sure, but it didn't feel like a horror movie. This was a horror movie, in not just the sense that it was spooky and scary, but it was a mind fuck of a movie as well.
Yeah.
Like compared to what this girl had to go
Yeah, it
through.
was.
So yeah, guys, buyer beware when you take your girls to see this movie, especially if they've been through some stuff in their life, because this may fuck
Yeah.
them up a little bit. It's why I want to wait to show my wife in the comfort of her home, so I can be there to like calm her down and stuff like that.
Yeah,
Not a first date movie. Not a first date movie at all.
No, not at all.
It was a great movie. Score 1 to 10.
I'm giving it 8-7.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm giving it. I'm going a 9. Like
Okay.
it's that.
Yeah, I like it.
It was. I can't wait to buy it. Like my dad texted me as the movie was going on. He goes, have you seen Invisible Man yet? And I called him afterwards. Like I literally just walked out of the theater. Go see this movie.
Right.
It was. Oh, this is so good. Surprise.
Yeah.
I think I would shit my pants. Oh
Creepy.
my god.
Creepy.
All right, you got anything else for this?
No, man.
No. Good deal.
It's refreshing to see a true horror movie, though.
Yeah.
'Cause, I mean, I'm real skeptical about horror movies because they're just. I find the people in them to be very stupid.
Well,
very stupid.
yeah, and these people weren't stupid except for
No.
those security guards. Like they had,
they're a little-
they had a few dumb moments,
Right.
but there's always
But it
this point
wasn't-
in time where you're like, "The fuck is wrong with you, idiots?
Yeah.
Why don't you just go and do this?" Like you're, like okay, one of my big ones. I hate this movie. It was the Strangers, the second one, not the first one, the second one, where the guy. You remember that movie?
Oh man.
Where they had like the 3 people wearing the masks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So then the second one, the first one was good. The second one bothered the hell out of me. And it was like the dumbest fucking horror movie I've ever seen because there's this one scene where the dad comes out after somebody had just been killed and they found a dead body or something. And he goes, "I will shoot you. You better get out of here now or I will shoot you." I was like, "No, shoot that
that
motherfucker. You just found a
What
dead
are you
body and
doing?
this guy's out here with a knife. Shoot that
him."
bitch." Like, what are you thinking?
What do you? I mean, yeah, get up close to him too. Get
Yeah.
really close and let him take the gun away from you. Do that.
That
Do
movie,
that fucking.
that
trick.
movie wasn't even a
That's
horror
stupid.
movie. It was a how-to on how to fucking die. Like it was stupid. God, I hated that movie.
Oh
And
yeah.
I was looking forward to it too because I love The Strangers.
Yeah.
But fuck, I hate The Strangers too. Whichever I don't
Yeah,
know.
I
the full
remember
title.
The Strangers now. Now that you say the
The
mask.
Strangers
That
was creepy. That was
yeah,
a
that was
truly
a creepy
creepy
movie.
movie. Like that was another movie that was really tense.
That was.
And Liv Tyler
through.
sold that movie.
Mhm.
Oh my god.
I agree.
Ugh. Chills. Ugh. Freaks me out. All right. I don't got anything else. You got anything else?
No, sir.
Go see this movie. You'll love it. I've been Kendrick.
And I've been Mark.
And this has been Movies in Black and White. Thanks for listening.